Let's go back and trace some of your early history. Started out as a guitarist, folk singer, with a couple of groups, and then you started writing over at ABC, the publishing company, for $100 a week. Can you look back now on those days and smile, or was it just paying the dues?
Oh no, it was a good time in my life. $100 a week was a fortune for me. I lived in a half of a duplex in East LA, which is the barrio, above Lincoln High School. I paid $65 a month for this place, so $100 a week was good money. I didn't really, they talk about the Tin Pan Alley kind of education. The education I received was that I learned that my music wasn't good for anybody but me. It was until Anne Murray came along, it was almost impossible for anybody to cover my stuff. My vocal range was too wide, and my material would go from too low to too high for most other artists. And so then the lesson I was supposed to learn was to limit myself. I don't like that particular lesson.
When you were out on the road with the Electric Prunes, were you actually doing I Had Too Much to Dream last night?
No. When I worked with the Electric Prunes, most of the original Prunes were retired, and I came in with the understanding that I would do a few of my own pieces. The songs that I did in the Electric Prunes was Danny's song, House of Pooh Corner, Back to Georgia, and that was it.
When you were introduced to Jimmy, he was working over at Columbia. And you're another one of those folks who has Clive Davis on the resume.
Yeah, that's right.
And you went over, and Jimmy was originally to work on your material. He was there to produce you, and the collaboration just blossomed from there.
That's right. Basically, when I met Jimmy, we had taco dinner together at his place, and then I sang him about 30-some of my own songs, and we started immediately working on a Kenny Loggins album. And as we went into it, he showed me the things that Poco never let him do. He was heavily repressed in Poco, and the stuff that he had was brilliant. So I encouraged him to start. First thing I wanted to do was record his tunes myself. So we worked up Peace of Mind, which was a Jimmy Messina song sung by me, and that was the last time you'll hear a Jimmy Messina song sung by Kenny Loggins, because from then on we became a duo, and he started singing his own material.
Do you ever think back on the fact in the early days that you, as a solo act, and you and Jimmy were never really darlings of the media, but yet you sold albums like crazy and you sold concert tickets like crazy? Is that the inner satisfaction?
Well, yeah, and the fact that FM radio supported us. Back in those days, FM radio was not the pop radio that it is now. FM radio was the alternative radio. And so when AM radio wouldn't play us, Top 40 radio wouldn't play us, FM kept our heads above water. We did start off as the darlings of the media. Our first couple years, I remember, as a matter of fact, very vividly, the first bad review we got. And in the bad review, the reporter apologized to his audience because he said, "I know that this is heresy to say anything bad about Loggins and Messina, but I think," and I remember reading that and thinking, here it comes. The doors are opening. It just happens, what goes up must get shot at. Initially, I was pretty much a ballad writer. And Jimmy and I used to talk about it. It was frustrating for him because he found that his own ballads were getting on the back seat because mine were coming forward, as that was what Kenny did, was the ballad. So Jimmy was forced to write up tempo. So we both made a conscious effort of starting to balance our writing. But it wasn't until I got probably into my second or third solo album that I started to really refine my up-tempo material and find where I was and who I was in that genre. And I would say that it didn't really come to fruition until Footloose.
Your first really big solo hit was a collaborative effort with Melissa Manchester, and the young lady who accompanied you on the single wasn't too shabby either. Did that first solo single was that something special that mean a lot to you?
Oh, absolutely. That was the second solo album that I made, with the one I recorded with Bob James called Night Watch. And I knew I had a potential hit on that tune. And with Melissa's blessing, I brought in Stevie Nicks because Stevie and I had known each other for a while and talked about someday doing a duet. And so I knew it had to be the song. And it worked out.
Around 1979 or 1980, you added another fact to your career. You started writing music for films. After you sit down and you write so many terrific songs, pouring your heart into the lyric, does it then become a bit more difficult to write somebody else's story for a movie?
What you find is that, you try to write only for those stories that you can hook into. In other words, I'll watch a movie, and if I'm writing for that movie, I will only take the movie on if there's a moment in the movie where my heart hooks in and I go, yeah, a good movie, like the same thing you do if you go to see a movie, it's got to touch you somewhere. And where that touches you is where you can write from. So in a scene where a guy and a girl are going through whatever changes they're going through, if you are touched and moved by that scene, then you know what to write and you know what'll score that film because you've felt those emotions.
Has it been disappointing on one hand that your music has outperformed the movies? On the other hand, you're thrilled that the music has done well, but the movies haven't necessarily...
Well, not entirely true. Two of the movies, I did the songs because the songs were better than the movies. And I knew they were, but I know I'm also a musician. I'm not really in the movie business. My business is music. And when a song like Meet Me Halfway comes along, you don't turn it down or kick at it because it's not connected with Gone with the Wind. Mm-hmm. I knew that the movie wasn't going to be around much longer, but I knew that the song had legs and it would be there. Nobody's Fool I felt very strong about, and I wasn't sure. Comedy's hard to judge. I wasn't sure about the movie. I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was as big a bomb as it turned out to be, but I knew the tune would hold up. With Footloose, that was the biggest movie of that summer. Top Gun was the biggest movie of that next summer. And I'm All Right, Caddyshack 1 became a sort of a cult following.
What do we look for in the future? What represents your next challenge?
I'm opening a string of Pizza Huts. That I really don't know.
Phone's got to be ringing off the hook from people to do movies and soundtracks.
No, honestly, it's not, and it never has.
With all the success that you've had?
No, it really isn't. I ran into Sidney Pollack a while back at a political thing, and he had told me, this was 4 years ago when I saw him before, and he said, next time I have a big film that I want, he scored Tootsie with, Tempt, I should say, Tootsie with my music. And it was one of my biggest regrets that I couldn't do the music for that movie. No, the movies that I've done have been, a lot of it has been luck, that I've fallen into one piece or another. Footloose was a favor to a friend who wrote the script. Danger Zone from Top Gun was a song that I sang because they couldn't get the original singers they were after. Isn't that bizarre?
Wow.
I'm All Right was really the one legitimate call.
When you're on the road, is it possible for you to even consider or think about gathering material for a next project, or do you like to take care of, let's do the tour, and then when I'm done with the tour, then I'll sit down and I'll think about new material and writing again?
Usually, yes. There is the rare occasion where on the road a song will come through. I try to warm up before the shows for half an hour, 45 minutes, and I used to do, I've lost this self-discipline, but I used to find an empty shower backstage, usually you have those big 12 shower stalls for these arenas, and you'll go back into there where the echo is great and just start going off the top of your head, and I'll make up 3 or 4 melodies, no completed songs, just total stream of consciousness, and I just sing them onto tape, and then I take those tapes home. I call them idea tapes, and then I'll go through them and weed them all out and take only the good ideas off those tapes onto a master tape and then start writing from there. So it gives me a place to start.
It's been a pleasure. I have to be honest with you. I have admired your work for a very, very long time. One of my all-time favorite songwriters, and I'm glad we had a chance to spend some time on the Music Weekend.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.